सुग्रीव सचीवसोत्थ भ्राता मैन्दस्य वीर्यवान् श्रीशुक उवाच नरकस्य सखा कश्चित् द्विविधो नाम वानर सुग्रीव सचीवसोत्थ भ्राता मैन्दस्य वीर्यवान् श्रीशुक उवाच नरकस्य सखा कश्चित् द्विविधो नाम वानर सुग्रीव सचीवसोत्थ भ्राता मैन्दस्य वीर्यवान् माताजी बोलेंगे श्रीशुक उवाच सुग्रीव सचीवसोत्थ श्रीशुक उवाच Sukadeva Goswami said, Narakasya of the demon Naraka, Sakha, friend, Kaschit, a certain, Dvivida, Vivida, Nama, by name, Vanara, an ape, Sugriva, King Sugriva, Sachiva, whose advisor, Saha, he, Ata, also, Bhrata, the brother, Maindasya, of Mainda, Viryavan, powerful. Translation and purport by disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhagavan Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Prabhupada disciples ki jai. Translation: Sri Shukadeva Goswami said there was an ape named Dvivida who was a friend of Narakasuras. This powerful Dvivida, the brother of Mainda, had been instructed by King Sugriva. Purport: Srila Jiva Goswami points out some interesting facts about this ape Dvivida. Although Dvivida was an associate of Lord Ramachandra's, he later became corrupted by bad association with the demon Naraka, as stated here. Narakasya Sakha. This bad association was the reaction for an offense Dvivida had committed when being proud of his strength, he disrespected Lord Ramachandra's brother Lakshmana and others. Those who worship Lord Ramachandra sometimes chant hymns addressed to Mainda and Dvivida, who are attendant deities of the Lord. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the Mainda and Dvivida mentioned in this verse are empowered expansions of these deities, who are residents of Lord Ramachandra's Vaikuntha domain. Sri Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur concurs with Srila Jiva Goswami's view that Dvivida was ruined by bad association. which was a punishment for his having disrespected Sriman Lakshmana. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti states, however, that Mainda and Dvivida mentioned here are actually the eternal liberated devotees addressed as attendant deities during the worship of Lord Ramachandra. The Lord arranged their degradation, he says, to show the evil of the bad association that results from offending great personalities. Thus, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti compares the fall of Dvivida and Mainda to that of Vijaya and Vijaya. We shall read the introduction. This chapter describes how Lord Baldev enjoyed the company of the young girls of Vraja on Raivataka mountain and killed the ape Dvivida there. Narakasura, a demon whom Lord Krishna killed, had a friend named Dvivida, an ape. Dvivida wanted to avenge the death of his friend, so he set fire to the homes of the cowherds, devastated Lord Krishna's province of Ananta, and flooded coastal lands by churning the ocean's water with his mighty arms. The rascal then tore down the trees in the ashrams of great sages and even passed stool and urine on their sacrificial fires. He kidnapped men and women and imprisoned them in mountain caves, which he sealed off with boulders. After thus disrespecting the entire land and polluting many women, young women of respectable families, Dvivida came upon Raivataka mountain where he found Lord Baldev enjoying in the company of a bevy of attractive women. Ignoring Lord Baladev, who was apparently intoxicated from drinking Boroni liquor, Dvivida displayed his annoyance to the women right in front of the Lord and further insulted them by making crude gestures with his eyebrows and passing stool and urine. Dvivida's outrageous behavior angered Lord Baladev and he threw a stone at the ape. But Dvivida managed to dodge it. He then ridiculed Lord Baladev and tugged at the woman's dresses. Seeing this audacity, Lord Baladev decided to kill Dvivida. Thus he took up his club and his plough weapon. Powerful Dvivida then armed himself by pulling up a shala tree from the ground, and with his tree he struck the Lord on the head. Lord Baldev, however, remained unmoved and smashed the tree trunk to pieces. Dvivida uprooted another tree and yet another and another until the forest was denuded. But although he struck Baldev on the head with one tree after another, the Lord simply broke all the trees to pieces. Then the foolish sheep started throwing a barrage of stones, crushed powder, the chase in then just set Dwarka as demi just first from the sky, and prayers and obeisances. That's the introduction. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadameham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunadanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalitan Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratuse Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vande Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodito गौडोदये पुष्पवन्तौ चित्रौषण्डौ तमोनदौ. Hare Krishna. So in this chapter, this chapter is a very wonderful and interesting chapter which describes the Lord, how he, Balram, how he kills Dvivida gorilla. And this purport is, it's explained that two things it is explained. First is how Dvivida and Mainda, they are all eternal liberated personalities. But Lord's supreme will, they have continued, they have fallen down, so-called fallen down, so that in order to explain the effect of bad association. And then it also explains that how, because of the offense towards Lakshman, which Dvivida had committed, so the effect of the offense towards Lakshman had resulted in bad association of Dvivida. He associated with Naraka. Naraka in Narakasura, actually Bhaumasura, it is explained that he associated with the Banasura. And Banasura associated with what is his name? Palimara's grandson. I'm not remembering. Huh? Yeah. So because of the bad association in this way, Dvivida gorilla, because of his bad association with Narakasur, he became more and more materialistic. But why this bad association had happened? The reason is said it's because of offense. It's very interesting. Now, how of we have to get into the history of what led to Dvivida's offense. What was the prime cause of Dvivida's offense? So Dvivida, when Lord Ramachandra, he met Sugriva. Lord Ram and Lakshman, when they met Sugriva. So Dvivida, so the Sugriva and Dvivida and all of them, especially Dvivida, he was very respectful towards Lord Ram, but he did not consider Lakshman to be very powerful. So that is the root cause of offense. Root cause of offense is that we don't consider a devotee who is spiritually inclined to be spiritual in nature. We consider him to be an ordinary being. So that is the root cause of offense which had happened here. So Lakshman and Ramchandra, they were together. So he considered Ram to be very divine. Dvivida is one of the commanders. If we hear Ramayana, repeatedly Dvivida's name comes. So he is one of the commanders. So he considered Ramchandra to be divine, and he offered that respect to Ramchandra. But he considered Lakshman to be ordinary. And he thought he is his servant, moving around in the far. Ram is moving around. Whenever some great personality moves around, they require some servant also, some assistant also. So he thought that, Lakshman is also like that, he's assistant of Lord Ram, moving around to help Ram and Sita. That's what he thought. But little did he know that Lakshman is no ordinary personality, is Balram himself. So he could not think about that. So when Ram and Lakshman, they came to meet Sugriva, so they met Sugriva. So Dvivida went and told Sugriva, hey, this Ram, he's a very wonderful personality, he's a very powerful personality, but this Lakshman is not very powerful, he's an ordinary personality. So therefore you need not be worried about him. I mean to say, you need not offer extra respect to him. So like that he told Sugriva. Sugriva, he got that vibes from Dvivida. So he started acting upon it, and therefore Ram had to give him a good beating. Had to arrange for a good beating. So when it so happened that Sugriva, he goes and he tells all his story to Lord Ramachandra, that my lord, this problem had happened. So Vali had banished me and he's trying to kill me. And so then Ramachandra said, okay, you go challenge him for a duel. And when you challenge him for a duel, then both of you fight, and then I will come and kill Vali, he told, Ramchandra told. Sugriva thought, and he had seen the power of Ramchandra, will not get into the story. And he had seen the power of Lord Ram. So then he thought, oh, he's a very powerful man. And if he kills Vali, then my problem is solved. So he goes and he starts fighting. So Ram has a different thought. He thought that this person, I will not help him so easily. He has to learn how to serve devotees. So he went and he started beating. Sorry. So Vali started beating Sugriva. Black and blue, he was beating him, and he was thinking, where is Ram? He is not able to see Ram here and there. Nowhere he is seen, and he is about to die. Then he started running. He started running, and he's a good athlete. He's a good athlete. He can run very fast. He can run faster than Vali. Vali is more powerful, but Sugriva is a good athlete, and he knows geography very well because he ran all over the universe. So he came running. Finally, he went into the boundary of Rishyamukha, and he was pacified. So then he goes to Ramachandra and he tells, my lord, if you don't want to help me, you should have told me. Why the hell you told me to go and fight with him? I was anyway peaceful sitting here. So Ramchandra very intelligent. He said, I am not able to identify the difference between you and Vali. And that person has, he has offended the Supreme Lord, by trying to take away the credit. And you also have offended Lakshman by not disrespecting him. So what is the difference between? That's what Lord Ram meant. That's what Lord Ram meant. So Ramchandra said that I am not able to identify the difference between both of you. Sugriva could get that hint when he said that I am not able to identify the difference between both of you. And then he said, but if you go and, if you have Mahaprasad, which is offered by Lakshman, Mahaprasad garland, which is offered by Lakshman, then with that garland, if you go and fight with Vali, then I'll be able to identify the difference between you and Vali. So Sugriva could get that hint. He wants me to submit in front of Lakshman. I have not sufficiently offered appreciation and respect to Lakshman, and therefore Ramchandra wants me to submit in front of Lakshman. And unless and until that happens, my deliverance is not going to happen. So he understood it. So Sugriva goes and submits in front of Lakshman. And when he submits in front of Lakshman, Lakshman offers him Mahaprasad garland. So ironically, when Vali and Sugriva went, with the first stroke of Vali, the garland got torn into pieces. If it is true that, just because of the external physical feature of Vali and Sugriva, Ramchandra could not make out the difference between them, then how was he able to make the difference between them later on? Because with the first stroke, the garland got broken. So Ramchandra certainly has a spiritual vision, and he wants that spiritual vision to be incorporated in Sugriva's heart. And therefore, he forced him to submit in front of Lakshman. So Sugriva submitted in front of Lakshman and he got his blessings, and that's how his offensive mentality has got removed. But Dvivida's offensive mentality was not removed. Dvivida still thought that Lakshman is an ordinary person. And this was reinforced. This thought or this opinion about Lakshman got strengthened when Lakshman was on the battlefield. Lakshman, when in different occasions, one occasion Ravan had threw that weapon on Lakshman, and Lakshman becomes unconscious. So when Lakshman becomes unconscious, then Hanuman goes and brings Sanjeevani mountain in order to bring back Lakshman to consciousness. Then he thought, if for him to become alive, we have to help him. This is an indication that he is very powerless person. So his opinion had got reinforced, during the battle, during the course of battle. Repeatedly Lakshman became unconscious 2-3 times. One was during Nagapash, when Indrajit releases Nagapash. And another time it was during when Ravana releases that weapon. they call it not Shakti weapon, some weapon, I'm not able to remember the name. He releases a weapon because of which Lakshman becomes unconscious. Then one another time when all the Vanaras, including Ram Lakshman, they become unconscious when Indrajit become Indrajit releases Brahmastra. So in different occasions he releases in this way, and Hanuman helps them. Hanuman helps Lakshman. Then Dvivida thought that if we have to help him, then what great personality is he? So this offensive mentality which Dvivida had carried towards Lakshman was the root cause of his bad association later on, and because of which, everything else, all other material desires are crept in. Two times Upadeshamrut Rupa Goswami mentions about bad association. Hatyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamahara janasangascha utsahat daryat nischayat tattat karma pravartanad sangatyagat. So twice, the only quality which is mentioned twice in Upadesh Amrit is giving up bad association. But this bad association which is coming from offensive mentality cannot be given up. Because it is bad association, not the bad association in itself, but it had stemmed out from offending a great personality. So one cannot give up. One may give up one kind of bad association only to land up in another kind of bad association. Unless and until the offense is given up, that bad association cannot be given up. So therefore, it's very important for us, while staying in association of devotees, we have to be very careful, because we deal with different kinds of devotees. Rupa Goswami tells in Upadesh Amrit, we deal with three different kinds of it. We deal with Kanishtas, we deal with Madhyamas, we deal with Uttamas. So when we deal with Madhyamas, with our attitude towards them is our attitude towards them is of one kind. When we deal with Uttamas, our attitude towards them is of one kind. When we deal with Kanishtas, our attitude towards them is of one kind. Similarly, Narada Muni tells Dhruva Maharaj that when we meet with someone who is senior to us, we follow them, we surrender to them. When we meet someone who is equal to us, then we make friendship with them. When we meet someone who is junior to us, we offer compassion to them. So this is how we spiritualize our association. But if we do not follow the rules of nectar of instruction properly, then the different devotees whom we deal with, they themselves could become, I mean to say, the problem is not with devotees, because the problem, if we do not deal with them properly, if we deal with them in an offensive manner, then that could result in dealing with in getting attracted towards bad association. So a devotee has to be extremely careful in handling this. A devotee, sometimes he has to deal with outsiders. Outsiders, not exactly outsiders. Like for example, when we go for preaching or when we go for any service, when we have to deal with many people who are inclined towards Krishna consciousness. They may be practicing Krishna consciousness, they may be sincere also, but they need our help. Similarly, when we are in ashram, be in grihastha ashram or the brahmacharya ashram, wherever, when we are in house or in monastery, so when we are in monastery or in house where Krishna consciousness is being practiced, so we deal with devotees there. So there is when we deal with devotees there, then there's an etiquette and there is an appreciation which we have to handle. And then when we go out and we have to deal with people who are favorable to Krishna consciousness. So there is an etiquette and appreciation which we have to handle there also, as is explained in the pages of Upadesh Amrit and in Srimad Bhagvatam. So if we do not deal with sufficient respect and appreciation along with the devotees whom we are staying with, then that could result in an offensive mentality, which could which may ignite, which may uh, which may ignite our consciousness to get attracted towards outside association, who may be inclined towards Krishna consciousness, but may not be able to help us in our Krishna consciousness. So it happens. And amongst devotees, there are enough reasons to differ. There are innumerable reasons to differ. Difference in opinion is a very common thing. One time, three managers are having a meeting. So so these three managers, so they are all very nice devotees. So there was a problem in the center. What was the problem? Problem was that some accountant in the center, he had stolen some money. That was the problem. So it's a serious problem. So they have to deal with it. So one manager, he's a devotee of Lord Ramachandra. One manager is devotee of Lord Ramachandra, another manager is devotee of Lord Krishna. So the devotee of Lord Krishna, who is so he says that Krishna says, Yeta mam prapadyante tamstata upajami. So this devotee has done a mistake. So we should give him whatever mistake he has done, that much punishment we have to give him. So because he has stolen money, so therefore we have to recover that money, and maybe we should give him some suspension order for a month or so. And then he will learn a lesson, and then he will come back and properly handle it. And that first devotee, who is a devotee of Lord Ramachandra, he says, devotees they are supposed to be ideal leaders. There should not be a blot on the character of a devotee. Otherwise, what will common people follow? So therefore, we have to take a strong action. What is the strong action? Strong action is that we'll file an FIR upon him. We'll file an FIR upon him so that everyone who is in the community, they will understand that if you do a mistake, then it will be dealt very strongly. So the other person is saying, how you can do like that? He's a devotee. The third person is Lord Chaitanya's follower. He said, we'll make him accounts HOD only. like Pratap Rudra Maharaj, when Ramananda Rai wanted to leave the job, so instead of becoming angry, he gave him double salary. So he said, this person is a devotee. Abhichet Suduracharo Bhajatema Mananya Bhak. Small mistake, it should not be considered very seriously. We should make him accounts HOD, and we should give him double the salary. Then whatever shortcoming which is there in his life, that will go away, and he will practice Krishna consciousness with great enthusiasm, setting an example for everyone and us also. Now, if these three people are doing meeting, naturally there will be difference of opinion. Naturally there will be difference of opinion. So that is called diversity. So Prabhupada, he wrote a letter in Hare Krishna. I think the mic is not working. It's working. Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada he writes a letter in 1973 to Kirtananand Maharaj. So this letter is dated October 16, 1973. Now this displeasing of God brothers has already begun and gives me too much agitation in my mind. Our Gaudiya Math people fought with one another after the demise of Guru Maharaj. Prabhupada writes like this. Our Gaudiya Math people fought with one another after the demise of Guru Maharaj. But my disciples have already begun fighting even in my presence. So I am greatly concerned about it. So he goes on to say, following in the footprints of Lord Chaitanya, we should follow Trinadapi Sunichena, Taroreva Saishma, Amanina Manadena, Kirtaniya Sadahari. We must always remember this verse and be as tolerant as the tree as we execute the Krishna consciousness movement. Without this mentality, we cannot be successful. Material nature means dissension and disagreement, especially in this Kali Yuga. But for this Krishna consciousness movement, its success will depend on agreement, even though there are varieties of engagements. See, now this paragraph is important. Prabhupada says, material nature means dissension and disagreement. There is no doubt. It's not possible that there will not be disagreement. But for this Krishna consciousness movement, its success will depend on agreement. Even though there are varieties of engagements. In the material world, there are varieties, but there is no agreement. The material world is not that there is no variety. There is variety. But there is no agreement. Why? Because everyone is materially motivated. This is the difference. The materialist, without being able to adjust the varieties and the disagreements, makes everything zero. Naturally, if everyone starts fighting, then everything will become, whatever is there, that will also go down. Everything will become zero. They cannot come into agreement with varieties, but if we keep Krishna in the center, then there will be agreement in varieties. This is called unity in diversity. I am therefore suggesting, so basically, the point which Prabhupada mentioning here is that there should be principle of unity in diversity. So what is the concept of unity in diversity? Anyway, Prabhupada goes on to say that, we should come together and discuss, GBC and senior men should discuss how to make unity in, yeah. So with all GBC and senior men present, we should discuss how to make unity in diversity. But if we fight on account of diversity, then it is simply the material platform. Please try to maintain the philosophy of unity in diversity. That will make our mission successful. Yeah, and then Prabhupada goes on. So what is the concept of unity and diversity? The concept of unity and diversity, Prabhupada in this letter especially says that unity and diversity has to be maintained and it is to be followed. Now what is the concept of unity and diversity? Where does this offensive mentality stem from? This offensive mentality stems from the fact from when there is difference of opinion, we consider the difference is due, we consider our opinion to be spiritual and another's opinion to be material. That is the first step of offensive mentality. That is the first reason where it starts. So we consider our reason to be spiritual and another's reason to be material. That is the first step of offensive mentality. From there it starts. Everything happens after that. Because when we are saying unity and diversity, the very concept of unity and diversity means that is also spiritual, this is also spiritual. How can both be spiritual if both are different? They can be. Why they cannot be? We have just discussed the example. No, all three are devotees. One is devotee of Lord Ramchandra, another is devotee of Lord Krishna, another is devotee of Lord Chaitanya. And because they are inspired by different same philosophy, but different thoughts of process. So therefore, they have difference of opinion. It's natural. That happens. So, yeah. So the first step is that we consider our reason to be spiritual in nature and the other's reason to be material in nature. That is the first step of offensive mentality. Unity and when there is difference of opinion, that is not in itself a problem. If unity and diversity is we consider different opinions to be on spiritual platform. And we were discussing the example of three people, they're coming together, So there were four people. Another person was a non-voting secretary, So he was seeing all these three people. He got confused. He got bewildered totally. So, and then he starts trying to take parties. That refers to us. When two devotees have difference of opinion, so it is said Advaita and Nityananda had difference of opinion. So we should not take anyone's party. We think Advaita, who is Advaita, we don't know. Who is Nityananda, we don't know. We read it in Chaitanya Charitamrita and we clap hands. The same thing happens within the place where we stay. Two devotees have difference of opinion and we take someone's party. Because we think that is spiritual and another thing is material. That is the root cause of offense. Why? Because as Prabhupada mentions, that breaks the philosophy of unity in diversity. So, yeah. So this is the first step. First step is, difference is considered to be material. Our opinion is considered to be spiritual and another's opinion is considered to be material. And because that is the first step. Second step is that because we consider others' opinion to be material, therefore we consider them not to be qualified to give us shelter or not to be qualified to be worthy of our appreciation. Shelter is far off. We don't consider them to be qualified to be worthy of our appreciation. So that is the second step. So this in itself is sufficient to pull us out from devotees association and get us attached to materialistic association while being in devotees community itself. Now, how does materialistic association comes in when we are in association of devotees? It comes through mobile, it comes through Facebook, it comes through social media. It comes through social media. One devotee, one very senior devotee, he told me that the number one obstacle for practicing sadhakas, like all of us, who have practiced, 15 years, 20 years, or maybe more in Krishna consciousness. So the number one obstacle is social media. So that is one way. Another way is because we deal with devotees also, who are spiritually highly qualified, and and we also deal with devotees who are inclined towards Krishna consciousness and who need our help. So when we deal with devotees, when we do not appreciate differences, or we do not appreciate differences, then we'll get inclined towards those who are inclined towards those, devotees who need our help more and more. And as a course of in the course of it, we become dried up. So that is the third step. So first step is we consider the difference to be, we consider when there is a difference, we consider what our opinion to be spiritual and the other's opinion to be material in nature. Second step is we don't consider the other devotee's opinion or other devotee himself. Forget about now, opinion goes into background, because we are questioning the motive itself. So we consider the other devotee not to be worthy of our appreciation. And the third step is we get drifted towards asatsanga. Naturally because we don't find that shelter, and also there is offensive mentality involved. So Dvivida is a good example where we can see that how, because he did not find appreciation in in Lakshman, he has got attached to Narakasura, and therefore, therefore he started doing all these activities. You can see what all, it had resulted in what kind of material motives. He was kidnapping people, killing people, destroying ashrams, all these things. What starts as a small thing, over a period of time it becomes very big. So therefore we have to be very careful how to consider unity in diversity. We can appreciate other devotees only if we consider and maintain this philosophy of unity in diversity. Otherwise, our appreciation may not. First of all, we may not appreciate. Even if we appreciate, it may not be spiritual in nature. So the Prabhupada rightly as mentions, we have to maintain this philosophy of unity and diversity. Now, how do we resolve that difference in opinion? That is, in fact, that is secondary. The first, the primary thing is that to consider that it is, consider the fact that there is unity in diversity. One time, there was some discussion going on some agenda in GBC meetings. So one senior devotee was asked. So there was polarized opinion, two different opinions and two different very strong differences of opinion. So one senior devotee was asked, senior sannyasi was asked, so what is your opinion? He said, I may have my opinion, but that's not very important. He said, the problem right now is that the polarized opinion which had happened. I may have some opinion, but that's not so important in comparison to the polarized opinion which had happened. Yeah. So how do we resolve it? It becomes secondary when the philosophy of unity and diversity is not maintained. The primary thing is to maintain the philosophy of unity and diversity. And how do we resolve it? Prabhupada tells in that very particular letter, and it comes in different places, is that we have to keep Krishna in the center. Sometimes it may result in some compromise or whatever. So on either side. But that's a detail. Essential point is to maintain that philosophy of unity and diversity. Otherwise, if that is not maintained, then that will take away our attitude to appreciate other devotees. And that becomes the cause of offense, which leads to bad association and everything else. Or it could result in some other things also. Hare Krishna. We have some 5 minutes remaining. If someone has some questions or comments, we'll address them. Otherwise, we'll end it here. Yes, Prabhu.
Adopting this concept of unity and diversity, there is always a fear of landing up in the philosophy of everything is correct. So, where to draw the boundary line?
Yeah. See, basically, therefore, we are mentioning, basically, uh, therefore, we have mentioned the principle that the crux of the matter is this. The crux of the matter is this. The principle of staying together is more important than what is right and what is wrong. This is the crux of the matter. What is right and what is wrong is a detail. It is important, I am not denying, but that's a detail. It's far more important to stay together and appreciate each other. So, what is, and if that is maintained, then we can get into the detail of what is right and what is wrong. But if the first thing is not maintained, and if we get into the detail, it will create more problems and more confusions and more arguments. And that will result, what will result in, Prabhupada says in this letter, that will result in total destruction. And that happened. Will happen also. Because we are dealing with material world. So the crux of the matter is this. The crux of the matter is to maintain that philosophy of unity and diversity. And the detail is what is right and what is wrong. Which also has to be dealt with when the first principle is properly handled. Yeah. Anything else?
I mean, this looks like, of course, this is a broad subject matter, but still, I mean, I'm just thinking that anyone can bring anything in ISKCON, which Prabhupada is not there to tell you this is right, this is wrong sometimes. Now, thinking like this, of course, I'm like appreciating the one side of it, but there again, the other side, anyone can bring anything which is contrary to Parampara, contrary to Srila Prabhupada, what he wanted. There are purposes written by Prabhupada only, 7 purposes of ISKCON. So instead of that, someone is bringing something else into ISKCON. I'm just thinking, if we put this unity and diversity principle there also, I mean, thinking that's all spiritual. Let's say someone brings karma kanda principles, someone brings the jnana kanda principles, something like that. I'm just thinking, apart from bhakti, it's not what Prabhupada wanted. I'm just thinking, if that also, then thinking like this, the movement may get diluted.
Yeah. Many times the problem is not with philosophy. Most of the times. Because if you see, if two parties or two devotees are having a difference of opinion, each devotee has 100 references how they are right. So problem is not many times with the philosophy. Many times it's not with the philosophy. Maybe sometimes it may be, unless and until someone is grossly wrong or breaking regulative principle or speaking about Mayavad, then that's a different story. But in general, I'm speaking in general. In general, both devotees have enough reasons to have their opinion strongly. And they can give 100 references. This devotee X can give 100 references, devotee Y can give 100 references. That is not generally a problem. So therefore, see, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that one devotee has to compromise. Like for example, when the difference happened between Prabhu and Indra. Ultimately, Prabhu compromised. But the philosophy of unity and diversity has been maintained. Similarly, when the difference happened between Bhima and Draupadi, Bhima had compromised, if you see, to some extent. Bhima compromised. But the philosophy of unity and diversity and Krishna in the center has been maintained. So there may be some compromise. I am not denying on that. That becomes a detail when the philosophy of unity and diversity is broken. So that is the point which we are trying to handle right now. Okay, so it's already time. We'll end it here. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.